All righty, what a great night, am I right? You guys like watching somebody get baptized? Man, if that don't fire you up, then nothing will. That's like scoring touchdowns, hitting grand slams, winning the Super Bowl. That's what it's all made of right there. Thank God for that. Hey, so tonight we have a special speaker, not a guest speaker, she's no guest. But tonight we have Taylor gonna give us a testimony. So are you ready for this, Taylor? I'm ready. Okay. I don't think it's on. Check.
There we go.
Hey, there's some voice now. All right, Taylor. So I know you've really been looking forward to getting up here and sharing your testimony with these guys. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. All right. How long have you been working on your testimony, getting ready for this moment?
Well, I was supposed to give it last month, and then it snowed, so like 2 months.
2 months? Okay. All right. How long have you been coming to Judson Road?
It'll be 5 years in October.
Okay, 5 years.
That's crazy.
All right, that's awesome. So, yeah, give it up. 5 years, that's awesome. So when you come here, how long did it take for you to start plugging in and doing stuff? I know you've been on the worship team for a while now.
So we started coming here, it was like around October of 2015, and it was May of 2016 when I joined the worship team.
Okay, so it was a year.
Yeah,
all right.
A little less than a year.
Cool. What other things do you do? And obviously you're a youth leader and you do that. So have you done anything else around here?
Like within the church?
Yeah.
Student worship. Been working with these awesome students up here lately. But then
they do a great job. They do a great job. They rock it.
They did
Thank
awesome. But just I volunteer sometimes. But basically my main ministries have been either worship team on Sunday mornings or hanging out with you guys.
All right, awesome. Passionate about that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So your husband also is in here, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So I hear that he's a huge IU fan.
Wrong.
So how long have you and Devin been married for?
We will be married for 4 years in October.
4 years in October.
Yes.
All right, awesome. So do you remember the first date you and Devin ever went on?
Well, I do know the first date we went on was with my parents.
Oh.
Because we had a double date because I was only 15.
Oh, okay. So a little supervision there.
Yeah,
make sure things didn't get out of hand.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of life with him, it was the movies.
What movie did you go see? I should have interviewed you about her.
Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games.
I got it.
All right. That's awesome. Well, Taylor, I just want you to know that we appreciate all you do leading the worship team, and we're all really looking forward to your testimony tonight. So if you don't mind, I'll pray with you, and then we'll get going.
Yes.
So, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight. We just ask that you speak through Taylor, and that somebody can hear her message that needs to hear it tonight, God. Let your words just shine through her. We're just so thankful for this opportunity to hear her perspective. We just thank you for this time. We thank you for James and his commitment to you, showing everybody what it means to just chase and follow you, God. We just ask that we're able to go out of here with a conviction on our hearts to be your hands and your feet, and not only change what we do in here in youth group, but we change the community around us. We love you, and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, I'm going to get a drink before I start. The singing was awesome. All right. Well, I am Taylor, and Devin is my husband. Dang, he got a better greeting than I did. Wow. That's cool. It's all right. Thanks. Makes me feel loved. Okay. So just a little bit about me. That's not okay. Anyways. So I will be 24 in May. Hey, Nikki, don't laugh at that. I know. But I have a little boy named Bennett, and he is 18 months old, and he's like the coolest thing ever. I love being a mom. But when it comes to when I was thinking about giving my testimony, it's funny how God works. And I love him for that. And then sometimes I get nervous, but that's okay. about a month before Shane asked me to give my testimony, Brandon gave a sermon about testimonies. And telling some of the other ones earlier today, I've never heard God as like an audible voice, but there's words that when I hear them, like they just linger. And it's like, why is that word there? Like, why do I keep thinking about it? And so the word testimony was the word. And I've always struggled with that a little bit just because I never thought I had a testimony to give. But then when I was looking at it, it's your story. It's your life. So here I am giving my testimony. And I mean, I'm almost 24, so I'm not going to go from like, hey, I was born here, now I'm 20, or almost 24. But a couple things you need to know about me before I start into this. One, I am a planner. I like to plan everything. Two, I like to have control. I'm working on that one. Three, I overthink everything. I think that comes with being a female. And then four, I don't do well with change. So, all four of those things wrapped together, I'm a fun little surprise sometimes. But growing up, I grew up in a wonderful, wonderful Christian home. I gave my life to Christ on my 8th birthday, and I went to church every Sunday. We went to church every Wednesday night, sometimes Friday nights. We hung out with a small group. So there's not a lot of time that I don't remember being somewhere in the church or being around church family. But then once I got to about 11 years old, my home church, my parents decided to leave. And being 11, that's hard to grasp. You're like, why? Why am I leaving the church I've known my entire life? Now that I'm older, I know why. And it was, my parents are my parents, and I respect them, and it ended up being wonderful. But when you're 11 years old, you're like, Mom, what are you doing? This is where my best friend is. You cannot leave me. So I was upset, but then we went to church, and we finally found a new church home. And that was my church home until I actually came here. And I made new relationships, built, they became family. The church people aren't just church people to me. I get so invested and they become family. It's crazy, and it's the most awesome thing in the world. But once I began making those relationships, I had the relationships, but then I just began going to church on Sundays and wasn't really involved. It was just, I went because my parents told me, hey, get out of bed, we're going to church. My parents were youth directors, basically for as long as I could remember. They aren't doing it anymore, but up until I think it was when I graduated is when they decided to step back. But I've always known them as being the youth directors. So then I went to youth because Mom and Dad dragged me along, even though I was like, I don't want to go. I just want to watch TV. But that was because I was 16. But if I could have had something like this would have been awesome. But we had a very small thing. There was like 4 of us, but I still am close with them. But then after I graduated, hold on, let me revert back. So when you get to like your sophomore year of high school, you start getting that question, what are you going to do with your life? Like, yeah, I hate that question. I still don't know what I want to do with my life. No, I'm just kidding. But you have to start planning like your classes for your junior and senior year, and then you got to figure out where you're going to go to college, or if you're going to go to college, or all that like mind-blowing things when you're a sophomore, you're 15, 16 years old, and you're like, I don't even know what I'm going to eat for breakfast tomorrow, you know? Whatever. But for me, it was kind of funny because ever since I was like 8 years old, I knew I wanted to be a dental hygienist. And I was like, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to clean teeth, like it's going to be awesome. I am not a dental hygienist, by the way. Right? No, I'm a dental assistant. We've had this conversation. No. But anyways, so going into my sophomore year, I made the decision that I was going to start pursuing going to school to become a dental hygienist. And so Kokomo Area Career Center is awesome because they offer all these extra classes, and I did the dental assisting. Loved it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So then I graduated, and I went to IUK, and I did my freshman year there, just to get my prereqs out of the way. And then it was time for me to start deciding what school I wanted to go to for dental hygiene, because there's only like 6 in Indiana. And so I was like, I'm going to go to IUPUI because it's still close to home. And so I applied, I got accepted, and I went to orientation. I think it was like April. I actually went back through my Facebook. It took me forever to like find all my posts because I was like, now I have to remember what I did when I was, in college. But I found it, and it was like April. I had orientation, and I got to orientation. I sat in the advisor's office, and we're looking at things, and she's like, your grades are good. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And she's like, you said you want to be a dental hygienist? I'm like, yeah. Well, and I'm like, oh no, what are you about to tell me? Because like, I already know what I'm doing. Like, don't tell me I can't. And so she basically told me that they had just dropped their numbers again. And so like, I had to have like A+++ on everything. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, do you have a plan B? And I was like, what do you mean a plan B? Like, no, this is what I'm doing. And so I remember just being like heartbroken because my whole life I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to become a dental hygienist. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. My whole life is all planned out. Well, so I'm sitting in the advisor's office and I'm bawling. Like my mom is sitting next to me and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't remember anything else after that because I feel like I just blacked out because I was so angry. But when I went back and I was looking at some of my posts, then I realized, okay, yes, now I remember. But I ended up just throwing some classes out there, and like, I'm just going to take them in the spring. It would have been the spring. And I'll go with that, whatever. So come August, I decided not to go to IUPUI. And then I was going to go to Ivy Tech. Well, some things kind of, whole new plan. Had it all planned out. And then, just kidding. You're not doing that. And so I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm just going to work. I made the decision to move all the way to Indianapolis. So I didn't feel like I could just like move back home because I just moved there. So I was like, I'm going to wait it out. And during this time, I just remember being like angry just because I felt like my life was just falling apart. And now that I look back at it, I'm like, really? That's like nothing. But in that moment, it was everything to me because I had this whole plan. And so that didn't work out, but I got an awesome job at the Indianapolis Zoo, which by far was the coolest job. Well, just kidding. I like my job now, but it was cool. But I worked. I met great people. During this, Devin and I were dating, and so I would drive back and forth from Indy to Kokomo every weekend, because for one, my family lives in Kokomo, and then my boyfriend was in Kokomo. So, I just drove back and forth. Well, I was wasting gas. So come November, I moved back home. And I got a job at a factory, and I liked it, but I didn't love it because it wasn't what I wanted to do. And then at that time, Devin and I got engaged, and we started coming here. And I'm going to get emotional just because. November, I started the job at the factory. And when I started coming here, I remember the music. And I don't remember what was sang, but I just remember being in the presence and just, I don't know, just something felt like it moved me. And I was like, this is where I want to be. And so we came here, and I just kind of gave it all to God. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. I still would like to be in dental. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what my relationship's going to look like. So I moved back home, and then like I said, I started coming here. In December, the office that I was a patient at, the doctor and the office manager came and was like, hey, can we have a meeting? And I was like, okay. And they were like, we want to hire you back. Because I did a short little internship for them. And I was like, this is the dental field. Okay. So I got a job there in January. And I have now been there ever since. But I just remember finally just, okay, God, whatever you want me to do it for me, because I don't even know where to go. And then that's when they reached out to me. I accepted the job. At that time, I was a hygiene assistant, so then I was like a little bitter because I was like, that's what I want to do. But then the more I worked in there and the more I got acquainted with the building, the people, the job description, I realized that's not what I want to do. I got moved over to the doctor's assistants, which I know this probably doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but if you ever had to get a filling or anything, that's when you come see me, but hopefully you don't have to do that because it's not fun. But anyways, so they moved me over there, and throughout this, the doctor that I work for, he was super awesome, and he helped me progress. So he allowed me to go get my license to take x-rays. And then about a year ago, I was able to go and become an expanded assistant, which is the highest you can be in an assistant. And so throughout this, I've been there, but it's just crazy how I'm still in the dental field, but I'm not doing what I said I'm going to do. And it's funny how God works, because when I look back, that whole time when I was planning, I didn't ask God what he wanted me to do. I don't remember praying about it. It was just, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. And when I finally hit that realization that it's not about me and it's not about what I want, and I gave it all to God, the pieces just started falling into place. And I'm now married, and I have a wonderful son, and I'm doing a job that I absolutely love. And it's hard because, when you become a mom, you're like, do I go back? Do I not go back? For me, I still went back. And I'm so glad I did, because I now get to do two things I absolutely love. I get to be a mom, and I get to be a dental assistant, which I just love. And it's kind of gross. I don't even know why I like it, but I like it. So I do it. But it's crazy how we can sit there and we can plan, but if God's not a part of that plan, he's going to intervene at some point. And I'm glad he intervened when he did, because I have been blessed so much more than what I could have even dreamed of. But when I was going through this, it's just, one of the verses that stuck out to me was Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. God already knows your plans. But, planning is not bad, but you have to be open to change because God's going to place you where you need to be, not where you want to be. And for me, that was hard because, like I said at the beginning, I like to be in control. When he places me where I need to be and not where I want to be, I'm not in control. But I go with the flow, and I've learned that when you go with the flow, the blessings are so much more than what they are if you go against what God has. What was even funnier, kind of, you might not think it's funny, but I think it's funny. This morning, when I opened my Bible app, did you see the verse of the day? I know, right? God's wonderful. All right, I'm going to share you the verse of the day. Wait. Oh, no, I don't like it. Well, we're not going to do that one. Hold on. Let me find a different version. No. No. Wait, what did I... No, compare versions. Okay. So in LT, we can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. And then the Message was another one I liked. We plan the way we want to live, but only God makes us able to live it. So if you take anything away from this, it's trust what God has planned for you. You guys are in that kind of that stage of planning because people ask you, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And I love my job, but I still don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life because God may have a different plan 20 years down the road. But I have to be open to the possibilities and open to the fact that he may move me wherever he wants me to go. And so, where was I going with that? So yeah, if just when you're planning, plan with God, not without God. That's the most important thing. It's funny how you can go through life and then you kind of suppress what you've gone through, and then when you're asked to talk about what you've gone through, you have to bring it all back to the surface and you kind of relive it. But I see how God just changed my life. I am nowhere near who I was 6 years ago. Yeah, praise the Lord, whoever said that. Hopefully it was not my husband. But it's just, I feel for you guys because this is a tough time in your life. But if you can figure it out now, that if you trust God with your decisions, or with, more importantly, his decisions for you, you are gonna go in mighty, mighty places. It's just, you can't deny it. When you see it, when you look back and you see it, which hopefully you guys already see it now, but when you go back and you look at your life, you're like, oh, that was like a puzzle piece. God just picked it up and was like, boop, there it goes. And then at the very end, it's this beautiful picture. And I bring that analogy up because I'm working on a puzzle. But I was sitting there and I'm like, this is like God. This is cool. But just, if I can encourage you, just trust him. And when you are making those plans, ask. And most importantly, listen. Because he may not talk to you in an audible voice. He may. I know people that, but just listen. He's gonna tell you. And when he tells you, listen, again, because sometimes you're like, I don't know, I don't know. Listen. Because it's him. He's going to get you through whatever you're going through, and he's going to bless you when you trust him and you give him 100%. So yeah, that's what I've got.
Devin wanted me to let everybody know some truth. Number one, you hurt his feelings when you said you were wasting gas on coming to see him. Number two, he remembers that he brought you to Judson Road. So he didn't hear it. I'm the messenger. And you guys can figure it out later. But all right, good job, Taylor. Give her another hand.